Welcome back to the deep dive. So you sent us a really interesting request asking us to look into commercial services and why geography can completely change the game for a business.
Yeah, that's right. We're diving into commercial plumbing, specifically in Whistler, using some really great insights from the specialists at Pacific Blue Mechanical.
Okay, so our mission here is to figure out the big, helpful things businesses get by hiring local pros who really know the area.
Exactly. We want to know why it's not just, a nice to have, but why it's absolutely critical in a place like that.
So let's unpack that. Why does a place like Whistler, it's a cold, snowy mountain town, need a totally different plumbing strategy than a city down in the valley?
Well, what's so fascinating is that the problems they're much more complex than you'd think. It's not just about the cold.
It's not just frozen pipes.
Frozen pipes are a huge issue for sure. But the sources point out that the spring thaw is just as big of a challenge. You get this massive amount of rainwater and snowmelt all at once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and commercial buildings need systems that can handle those really radical seasonal swings.
So we're talking about more than just some standard insulation. This is specialized gear, right?
Precisely. The Pacific Blue Mechanical site talks about things like insulated piping being mandatory, or even these advanced heat tracing systems that run right along the pipes.
And what about the rules?
That's the other half of it. It's about total compliance. You have to know the BC plumbing code inside and out, especially the rules for mandatory backflow prevention.
I found that part really interesting. Why is backflow prevention such a huge deal in Whistler?
If you think about it, Whistler is a high-density resort town. You've got hotels, restaurants, huge numbers of people coming and going.
Right.
So that strict backflow prevention is all about protecting the shared city water from getting contaminated. It's a public health thing. And knowing exactly how to implement that is a huge advantage for a local expert.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So let's pivot to the benefits. If a business owner does all this, what's the biggest advantage they see?
It really all boils down to risk. In a resort town, downtime is not just an inconvenience.
It's lost money instantly.
Exactly. So the biggest advantage is just speed. A local expert can get a business back online in hours, not days. And that saves a ton of money.
Less waiting, more earning. What about the slower long-term savings?
That's the second big benefit. A longer lifespan for the equipment and lower utility costs.
How so?
Well, regular maintenance from someone who knows what to look for catches small problems before they become, catastrophic failures.
Proactive instead of reactive.
Right. And the source also mentions using water-efficient fixtures like low-flow toilets. That lines up with Whistler's local conservation goals, and it directly lowers the monthly water bill.
So you're managing risk and you're actively cutting costs. What about the property itself?
That's the third piece. Property value. A commercial building with a well-maintained, fully compliant plumbing system is it's way more attractive to buyers or tenants.
So hiring local experts really does future-proof the investment.
It absolutely does. You basically stop worrying about the environment and the regulations and just focus on your business.
To wrap up then, we've seen how essential that local knowledge is for staying compliant and, frankly, for saving money. Now, for the final thought for you to chew on. The source material from Pacific Blue Mechanical mentions sustainable solutions. Things that go beyond just saving water, like gray water recycling systems or even composting toilets.
Yeah, these are real available technologies.
So here's the question. How quickly will these green innovations stop being just an option for some businesses and become the standard, maybe even mandatory, for commercial buildings in places like Whistler? Something to think about.
Thanks for diving in with us.